Test. Is that too loud, Jalid, or is that okay? Oh, hang on. Okay, you can talk now. Sorry.
It's good, Brian.
Thank you.
not so much, but he's gonna have to, because he's still.
You need to give him notice of the charges and you come bring me out over here and he can remove it.
Okay.
Or calls.
I'll sort that,
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
I'm a little rusty. I'm gonna see if I can keep up
Oh,
live and
you
in
can.
person. I'm used to getting it after the videos.
There's your vote. This is Dawn.
Yes, sir. Okay, Brian, I think we're ready. All right, thank you, Brian, and welcome everyone to this February 13, 2023 meeting of the Homewood City Council. We're going to start tonight with a presentation from Jose Perry, who's the Jefferson County Outreach Director for Congressman Sewell's office. Jose, feel free to come on up here. We're glad to have you tonight.
Good evening, everybody. Just want to make a formal introduction. I am Jose Perry with Congresswoman Terry Sewell's office, and I think we've grafted in Homewood into our district, and we're excited. I want you to know that we'll do what we need to do to help the city of Homewood and our constituents. A lot of you are already kind of familiar with me. We have Consular Nims, who used to be on our team for Congresswoman Terry Sewell. I also want to thank Congresswoman Andress for introducing me to the wonderful JJ.
Someone everyone needs to know, and most people already do.
Right. He helped me navigate some issues here in the area. Congresswoman really wants to do her first town hall meeting in the city of Homewood, and JJ helped me find a location and make that work. We're looking for a date. As you may know, things have changed in the House, and so now she's on the Ways and Means Committee, she's on the Armed Services Committee, and she's on the Administrative Committee. And being on the Armed Service requires her to go on some codels, and so she may not be able to do the schedule as we planned it. So that's why we're looking at redoing the town hall meeting. But she wants me to personally meet with each one of you so that we can hear concerns that you may have for your particular area, but as the city as a whole, with the mayor office and everyone else, to let you know that we're here to work for you and for the constituents, and whatever we could do, we're here to help. I just want to make the formal introduction and say thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right. So with that, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Ms. Smith is doing the invocation tonight, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please stand.
You'll pray with me. God of wisdom, we seek your counsel today as we gather for this meeting. Give us clarity and open minds to listen. Let us have productive discussions that broaden our perspectives and guide us in problem solving and finding positive outcomes. Dear God, help us to apply your wisdom for the good of the city and our residents. Thank you for the abundant gifts that you give us, and help us to share what you have given us with others. In your mighty and matchless name we pray. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. All right, Amy, if you will please call roll.
Counselor Gwaltney.
Here.
Counselor Gear.
Here.
Counselor Alamon.
Here.
Counselor Wolverton.
Here.
Counselor Sims.
Here.
Counselor Jones.
Here.
Counselor Smith.
Here.
Counselor Nelms.
Here.
Counselor Andress.
Here.
Counselor Harden.
Here.
And President Wyatt.
Here. All right.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All right. So the next on the agenda is the reading of the minutes from our council meeting of January 30, 2023. Those have previously been distributed. I'd entertain a motion and a second to dispense with the reading of such minutes and for approval of the same. We have a motion for Mr. Wolverton. And
Second. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. And a second
Somebody-
for Mr. Alamo.
Okay, I didn't.
It's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are approved 11-0. We have a few board vacancy issues to go over. First, we have the Arts Advisory Board. We have 2 new at-large positions that we need to open. Ms. Gear, how long would you like to have those open for?
The shortest amount of period that's required, there are a couple of people already interested.
Okay. So then we could do that for our February 27th meeting. So we'll do 4:30 on February 27th for each of those positions. We also have a Ward 2 Arts Advisory. Same thing for that one?
Yes.
Okay. Is that good with the Ward 2 guys? Okay. So we'll also do 4:30 on 2/27. Then we have a Ward 1 BZA position that closed today. We did not have any applicants, at least that I'm aware of. So how long would y'all like to leave that open?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay, so we'll do that one at 4:30 on February 27th as well. Then we have a Ward 2 beautification board that closed without any applicants on that one. I'm going to say we probably need a little bit longer on that one, unless y'all, either Ward 2 or Mr. Sims, do y'all think, y'all have any problem with that if we push that one out to March 13th? Okay, so we'll do that at 4:30 on March 13th. All right, then we have some that we actually have appointments for. So first, we have the Ward 5 BZA position where we did interviews. Ms. Andrus, are you handling that?
Yes, I wanted to make a point to say that we had, we actually interviewed for 2 different positions last week or 2 weeks ago. We had 4 absolutely outstanding interviews. Tonight, we are going to move to appoint William Johnson to the BZA, but I wanted to point out that we will be reaching out to the other candidates and actively find ways to get them involved with the city, because really we had 4 just outstanding interviews and we were honored to be there with them.
All right, so we have a motion for William Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
And second from Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And congratulations to Mr. Johnson. That's approved 11-0. And then we have a Ward 5 Park Board. Ms. Smith, are you handling this one?
Yes, and I would echo what Ms. Andrus said. We had 2 wonderful candidates for the BZA position. We also had 2 wonderful candidates for the Park Board position. And it is you almost feel guilty when you have such qualified people to interview for these positions that want to be involved. So with that, I would move to appoint Dr. Rob Sellers to the Ward 5 Park Board position.
All right. So we have a motion for Dr. Sellers. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second for Ms. Andrus. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 11-0 for that one as well. And congratulations to Dr. Sellers.
He was one of the 10 who interviewed for the at-large position, yes, several years ago.
All right, so that takes care of board vacancies. Although I will remind Ward 4 that there's an HEC position that's closing in 2 weeks.
We actually have several people who are interested in that, so I think we should have some folks by that time.
All right. We don't have any additions to the agenda tonight, so that brings us to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved 11-0, which brings us to old business. First item, 110123, request for consideration of placing a full-page ad in the Chamber of Commerce magazine, brought to us by Councilor Andrus, and we will start with a report from Finance. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met on February 6th, and for this particular item voted 4-0 with 1 abstention to recommend approval of the funding. It's $1795.50 from the advertising line item. So 4-0 to 1 out of Finance.
All right, so we have a motion from Finance. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is 11-0.
Well, actually, no, I abstain, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm abstaining
I
again.
apologize. So that'll be 10-0 to 1, and passes, and will be Resolution 2315. All right, next item, 120123, request to set a bid date for March 13, 2023 for the Delcris Sidewalk Project, Phase 1, brought to us by Cale Smith. Do we already have a report from Finance, Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir. We voted 5-0 to recommend approval of setting that bid date for March the 13th
All right.
at 4:30.
Is it 4:30?
Yeah, I think that's right.
I got 4:45.
Yeah, you're right, 4:45.
Okay.
4:45.
All right, so we will set that for March 13th.
City Hall's open before.
Make
It closes at 4:30.
It does, you're right. You want to, why don't we do 4:30 instead, just
Yeah.
to make sure? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do 4:30 on March 13th, and we will carry that item over for that bid date. All right, next item, 130123, request to authorize the mayor to sign a contract and pay appropriation to West Homewood Neighborhood Association, brought to us by Justin Limbaugh, Robert Burgett, and Melody Salter, and another report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met, voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this item. This was already in the budget, so we're just approving the mayor to sign that contract.
All right, we have a motion from Finance. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is 11-0 and will be Resolution 2316. Next item is 140123, request to authorize the mayor to sign a contract and pay appropriations to Class Tran, brought to us by Robert Burgett and Melody Salter. And again, a report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met, voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this item.
All right, we have a motion from Finance. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is also 11-0 and will be Resolution 2317. Next item, 041222, request for consideration of changes to city's workers' compensation occupational medical clinic, brought to us by myself, and we'll have another report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
This was on our previous, yeah, here we are. Yeah, this was one that we removed from the table. So first of all, we voted 5-0 to remove this from the table. So that was 5-0. And then we voted 5-0 to recommend approval of changing to Alicant for the drug testing portion, except for the after hours, which will still be handled at UAB Highlands. And then we're going to leave the portion for the workers' compensation in Finance Committee. So 5-0 for approval.
All right, thank you very much. Another motion from Finance. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That also passes 11-0 and will be Resolution 2318. Next item, 170123, public hearing set for February 27, 2023 at 6 p.m. for consideration of condemnation of the dwelling structure at 1509 Beckham Drive, brought to us by Wyatt Pugh. We will carry this item over for our next meeting and that public hearing on the 27th. Next item, 180123, public hearing set for tonight for consideration of a variance to the sign ordinance to permit 6 electronic message board window signs at 1831 28th Avenue South, Suite 160, brought to us by Kyle Bass of Homewood Theater and Wyatt Pugh. And we will start with a report from Special Issues, Ms. Smith.
Yes, the committee met last week and heard from Mr. Bass and voted 5-0 to refer this item out to the full council without a recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. Motion was made by Ms. Gear and seconded by Mr. Almond.
All right, thank you very much. With that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. Mr. Bass and Mr. Pugh, if y'all want to come on up. And there's probably a sign-in sheet there for you, Mr. Bass. If you'll just put your name down there, and then whenever you're ready, you can just explain to everyone what you're proposing here.
Okay. This is for Homewood Theater, right on the corner of 28th Avenue South and 19th Street, right across the corner from Dimitri's Barbecue. We'd just like to have, we would love to have it in one panel on each side, but just each side of that corner to have electronic signage, just to be pretty much just an electronic poster of coming attractions. Just like when you go to the movies down in Vestavia, they don't have the old big movie posters anymore. They just have an electronic board that will show you that. Again, with the windows going cut more horizontal there, it would take kind of 3 of those. So it's basically just giving you the information of what's the coming attraction and what would be. It's not any running lights. It's not any video. It would just be slowly changing about every 30 seconds for what's coming up at Homewood Theater.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? Not, then I will close the public hearing and ask if there are any questions or comments from council.
Kyle, I know you mentioned to us in the committee meeting last week that the signs, you're only going to basically have them on pretty much at night due to the fact that in the daytime you can't really see.
That's right. With
Anyway.
the double paned reflective windows, they don't really show up in the daytime. The only time they would really be used is when it's dark at nighttime, right?
And they would not be left on like overnight. They would, is that
We can do that on a timer and they can kick off.
at a certain time?
At a
Okay.
certain time, right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Is that something you could make part of the motion to approve?
You can proffer it, which
Yes.
sounds like you just did.
Yes, basically what we're saying is, could you formally proffer that that would be the case, that they would be automatically cut off at
Sure,
that
yeah,
particular
yes,
time?
And we'll automatically cut them off.
In other words, you're offering to limit the variance to a certain time period.
Sure, yeah, that would be great, yeah.
We need to determine the time period is.
Yeah, because the light gets light. Mr. Bass I went this Christmas to it, and I thought it was fabulous. I'm so glad y'all are doing this. But that's a lot of lighted signs for us. We don't tend to like those very much.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out how do we do this and still give you something you need, but not overwhelm the city.
Sure.
But I think one of the things that happens is it gets dark. The more summer gets here, the later it gets dark. The more winter gets here, the more it gets dark.
Yeah,
So
I think what you would do is I think you'd start at dusk, whatever that dusk is, and then I think you'd have the same time period, the same
the
time
time at
deadline.
10
10 o'clock or
at night.
something.
Would
Correct.
10, 10:30, 10, 10?
10.
10,
10.
okay, all right, okay. Well, then I would make a motion to
Wait,
approve.
wait, 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 whoa, 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 nice try. All right. Are there any other questions or comments? I think I saw a few people reaching for their microphones. Ms. Gear?
Hi there.
Yes,
I just wondered, really, is 10 o'clock late enough? Well, how late do your shows usually last, and do you want that to still be on when your latest
I was trying to
folks are-
kind of process, we might run a little past 10 on some shows. If we could do 11 o'clock.
I think it,
We're almost always finished by.
You're in charge of the proffer, so you can.
Okay, if I could change that to be dusk till 11 o'clock, that'd be great, yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
sure.
All right. Okay, anybody else? Okay. No? Okay.
Well, if,
All right, so I've got one. Kyle, I love your theater. I appreciate you showing me around the other day when I was with Barry. I think it's fantastic. I think it's wonderful for Homewood to have it. I even don't mind your signs. What I mind is providing a variance for electronic signs in windows then opens a door for other electronic signs in windows or other electronic signs in general around the city, and that scares me to death. Because I don't know how we make a distinction between your business and another business, because basically they're all zoned the same way, so the sign ordinance applies to them the same way. And so while I very much like your signs and wish that I could vote yes, I don't see any way for me personally to do that without me having to vote yes on a bunch of other potentially electronic signs that potentially come before us. And from a legal standpoint, I just think it's important to stay consistent. So I wish you all the best with your business. I hope you understand what I'm saying, because like I said, I think you've done a good job of trying to make these signs palatable for the city. So anyway, that's my comment. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Sims?
I do have a follow-up question. So related to these signs, you referenced that, you're gonna transition the signs every 30 seconds to, coming attractions and so forth.
Right.
Is that all 6 of the signs or just the 2 middle ones? Could you?
Yeah, it's, what we're trying to do with that, if the windows had been turned vertical, we'd just ask for 2 signs, one on each panel. But the way they are, it's kind of the top information, the middle information, the bottom information go with the same kind of poster for that thing. So they're fairly static, top and bottom, just kind of, or that's the example I gave at least. It's mainly the information would change there in the middle.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Because what I was trying to reconcile is if only the middle information would change, if actually the top and the bottom needed to be electronic as well. Because I think 2 middle electronic signs, have less of an impact from a light standpoint. So I was just curious about the purpose. Thanks.
Sure, yeah, again, it would, you see them again at the movies. They're more of a vertical type thing usually. So I was trying to kind of simulate that with the sample there, that you'd have maybe where it's coming, the act, and then how to get information. But yeah, right now I had them kind of changing all together there.
Have you thought about is, as you know, as I said earlier, we don't like electronic signs. Have you thought about a sandwich board you could put out, out in the corner and put the different posters?
We've got it, that's what that one is, right in front of
Okay,
it.
that's
the
what
little
made me
white
think
frame.
of it.
So we're kind of doing that, it kind of limits us to just the two sides, because it does have something on both sides.
Mr. Jones, did you have a comment?
Well, yeah, just, when this first got on the agenda, I had nightmares from the electronic billboard we had to deal with several years ago. That was quite an experience. But I am concerned about how we handle other businesses, because they'll all say, well, you can't see my sign within the window. Is there any openness to just having some lighting that would go on to posters at night? I mean, I just feel like maybe some lighting, you know, just like when you go to the movies now, on the outside of the theater, they're not electronic. When you go to Lux or whatever, they're posters that are lighted, that will show what's coming. I mean, I'm just trying to think of a way that we could approve this where we're not gonna have other businesses coming to us and requesting electronic billboards, is basically what this is.
Is there any way to limit my request to entertainment venues?
No, not under the current ordinance. I don't see any way to do that, to sort of carve out. I think it would require amending the ordinance to carve out that kind of business, is the problem. And I'll say this, I mean, I did, you know, I made the point about electronic signs, and that is my biggest concern. I also just have a concern about filling up windows with signs. I mean, we just denied one of these, about filling up windows with signs. Separate from the electronic issue. And so, you know, wanting to be consistent, that, you know, I have concerns about that, or concerns about, you know, because I think we have, quite frankly, another one coming next week. So anyway, I have concerns about, again, being consistent from a legal standpoint. And while I wish I could choose which ones just do which ones I like and which ones I don't, but I think we do have to make sure that we're treating people equitably. So anyway, that's my position. Any other questions or comments? All right, Ms. Smith, you want to make a motion or a comment?
No, yes, because yes, I'll just make. With the proper, that the signs would be turned off automatically at 11 o'clock.
So they would only be allowed to be on between dusk and 11.
Dusk and 11 o'clock,
Okay.
per the proper from the application.
Okay. So we have a motion. Second. Is that Mr. Alamon? Second from Mr. Alamon. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to have to do a roll call vote, please, Amy.
All right. Counselor Gwaltney. No. Gear.
Yes.
Allamon. Yes. Wolverton. No. Sims.
No.
Jones.
No.
Smith.
Yes.
Nelms.
Yes.
Andress.
Yes.
Harden.
No.
And President Wyatt.
No. By my count, that's 5-4 against. I'm sorry, 6-5. I'm sorry,
I had
6-5.
5-7. Yes.
6 against and 5-4.
Correct.
Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so that request then fails. And again, I apologize, but
Thank
hope you
for your
understand.
time. I appreciate it.
All right, next item, 190123, public hearing set for tonight for consideration of a sign variance at 169 State Farm Parkway, brought to us by Megan Ellis and of Advanced Sign and Lighting and McAllister's Deli and Wyatt Pugh, and another report from Special Issues, Ms. Smith.
Yes. The committee met last week, voted 5-0 to refer this item also out to full council without a recommendation pending the public hearing tonight. Motion was made by Ms. Anderson, seconded by Mr. Sims.
All right, thank you very much. With that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing, and Ms. Ellis, I see, is already up at the podium. If you will, just tell us what you're proposing.
Yes, sir. I'm proposing extra signage at the location based on how the building sits, and that the pickup signs were necessary because of it being new with McAllister's. They don't normally have pickups. It faces State Farm Parkway and Lake Shore, so the front and rear, you enter at the rear of the building, and the front of the building faces Lake Shore, and there's no entrance on that side, but of course it would need one over the front door. That's the front. The side elevation, it opens up next to where the Taco Bell is, and that's where the pickup window is.
And both of those are on the side? Or is one of those the back?
The one on the right is the rear elevation, which faces State Farm.
So the only thing on the side is the pickup?
No, there's another.
Okay. Oh, around the corner in the front? Okay. Yeah, I'm with you now. Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? I'll close the public hearing and ask if there are any questions or comments from council.
I drove over there today specifically to look because the first thought I had was I couldn't really understand the need for the one on the Lakeshore side, only because I thought that tree line extended further down than it did, but I did notice that y'all's building is visible from Lakeshore. I actually can understand the sign on the Lakeshore side and obviously on the State Farm side, since that's going to be y'all's entrance. I think the sign on the side, kind of like we told the folks, that's kind of like we talked about with Chipotle. I think the sign on the Taco Bell side is kind of weird, because the fact is the only people coming from that direction are people who are coming, I guess, from the hotels over there, I would guess, and they're going to be able to see the sign anyway. I feel like that's a lot of signs, and I can't remember the pickup sign, the actual sign that's above the pickup window. Is it illuminated?
It is.
Okay. And I know illumination is okay over in Wildwood, right? Wyatt? Yeah, that's okay. I feel like the side sign is a bit extraneous, and I feel like the additional pickup, and I know that's pickup windows are not normal for them, but I think there's other ways to make that noticeable for people. And the fact is, if they've called in a pickup order, they're going to know there's got to be somewhere to pick it up because they called it in. So I feel like that's, use your brain cells to figure that one out. I just feel like it's a lot of signs. It's a lot of signs. And I get the ones on the front and the back, but the side ones and the big pickup sign, I'm not sure I get. That's just my.
Anybody else?
I would concur the same thing. I think we have a problem along there. We lost Outback Steakhouse because they said there was a lack of visibility along Lakeshore because of all those trees that we can't seem to get cut. And so they walked away from a site along there. And so we've got to be able to allow people to see these things from Lakeshore. But I think the request here is, we're trying to we have sign ordinances for a purpose, and we keep amending them. But I think if you cut down on the number of your sign requests, you probably get a little more favorable, at least from my perspective.
Okay.
I've got a couple of questions, but I don't want to jump in front of anybody. Yes, it's moving. One, there's no monument sign associated with this, is that correct?
There is.
There is a monument
Well,
sign.
and isn't that
It
that's the
exists.
main,
Yeah, I've already gotten it approved, and it's a double tenant sign, monument sign.
Well, yeah, so I want to be clear.
Wait,
Is
yeah.
it
No, there's another
is the monument sign part of that large monument sign that has a list of, or is there one just for these two tenants that's out in front of this building?
There's one for the two tenants.
That's out in front of the building.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
So that's already, so there's,
Would you mind if we took a look at that?
so there's already going to be a monument sign.
But this one, yeah, the monument sign actually already exists, we just don't have to
Okay, but, and then so also,
And just,
will it
let me-
also be on the main Wildwood sign that lists all the businesses that are over there?
No, this is a separate piece of property. I wouldn't think that it's on that. Separate owner.
You know if it's gonna be on the big multi-tenant sign? I haven't seen it.
No, no, we're not
No,
installing
it's
it
a-
if it is. I didn't get any
That's
drawings
for
on
that
that.
shopping center back there, I think.
Well, I mean, it has all the tenants that are in there it used to have the Kinko sign up there, which
Oh,
is what
yeah,
was in
you
that
know
building
what, I
before.
guess-
I don't believe there's gonna be tenant panels over there too.
Okay, okay.
I
Yeah,
would be
so
surprised
just,
it's-
Brian, Andy's gonna send that to Brian so he can put it up there, but just so you understand what we're talking about, we're talking about an 8-foot-high monument sign that is, gotta do this math, what, about 10, a little more than 10 feet across?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't remember that sign coming to us.
That sign did not come to us. I don't know that it had to, since it's a monument sign.
No, that's an approved sign.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an accepted sign, okay.
And so,
That makes a big difference.
I assume this is a sign that runs perpendicular to Lake Shore so you can see it, or is it run parallel?
That's what I was looking for. I'm not certain where this sign is.
It's gotta be on the,
It's gotta be on those State
Or
Farm
is it-
signs.
I'm
is
looking
out on
at the
State Farm?
drawing, I'm looking at the site plan, and I don't see it on here. It may not be on this property.
Okay.
It may
I'd
be on,
be surprised it's not on that property.
Yeah.
I don't know
since
for
it's just
sure.
the
I just
two
don't see
businesses.
it on my, and seeing that sign is in my packet, so it surprises me that it's not on here.
There's the sign if anyone wants
Yeah.
to see it.
I'm sorry, I didn't study this part of it because it was already approved.
No, I understand.
'Cause I wonder if that's not on the
State Farm?
State Farm
It may be.
side. Because that's where the entrances to both the buildings are,
Correct.
the businesses
So,
are gonna be.
Mr. Pugh, before I get too far in front of my skis, how much, or can you explain the variances to me
Yes,
that are requested?
and the exhibit that I put together just outlines the variances. There is a monument sign, and there are also some small, directional signs that do not require, they're exempt from the ordinance. The ordinance says they do not require a permit because they're only 4 square feet, and they're little freestanding signs. They're just directional. They say like parking.
Pickup window,
pickup
circle,
window.
building.
Okay, so there's already a sign that says pickup on it.
Yeah.
So just to give you the
They
full
don't,
picture.
they don't go on the building. There's no, you can't advertise with these. They're just basically directionals to show them where to drive around to park
Well, I mean,
at.
that's essentially what the sign on the
Yeah,
building is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point
think
that
we've
Ms.
already
Smith is
accomplished
making
that.
that I would agree with is, I'm not sure if a pickup sign on the building is needed if you've got other signage around on the property that's directing you to that same spot. But Mr. Pugh, going back to the variance, what, if you'll explain what the variance requests are?
Yes, sir. So, Brian, if you'll go back to my exhibit.
We don't know, but I
Page
think it's
one.
on State Farm.
All right, so what I've shown on the exhibit, the top sign is just for reference. That is the compliant wall sign on the front.
Got it.
The one below it is the first variance request, and that's if you go around to the right side, you see McAllister's Deli repeated. Now, if you continue walking.
And just, let me interrupt you real quick.
Yes, sir.
That's a variance for number?
That would be a numbers variance.
Okay.
Because the ordinance permits one wall sign per,
One monument sign and one wall sign.
one monument sign, one wall sign.
Okay,
That's right.
all right, I'm with you now.
Okay, so, if you were to continue walking to the right, and Brian, if you'll go to the second page, please, you'll see that pickup. Now, that's directional in nature, but it's larger than 4 square feet, therefore it requires a permit. So I
Got it.
have to consider it something, it's a wall sign.
So is that one both number and size?
So that would just be a number.
Okay,
So it could be 1 foot by 4 feet and it'd be legal.
It could be, that's right, 4 square feet would not require a permit,
And how big is that?
that's 11.78 square feet.
So
So I have,
that one could be smaller, but still illuminated, serving the same purpose and not require variance?
the ordinance doesn't say anything about illuminated directional signs. I hadn't really thought about that.
But I mean, so essentially, if that one was 4 square feet, it would,
No, it would
fit.
Illuminated signs are permitted.
Right. But if it was smaller,
Unless it's
if it was 4
pro-
square feet
specifically
instead of
prohibited.
11, it would not require
Probably
variance.
wouldn't be
I
able
think
to
it would
see
probably
it.
be all right. If it were only 4 square feet, even if it were illuminated, I think that would be okay. It wouldn't require a permit.
Okay. All right. And then, so that one's a number as well, and then the one on the back is also a number variance?
Yes, Brian, if you'll go back, so if you were to keep walking from the pickup window on around and go around the back, you see this McAllister's Deli sign up high. That's a numbers variance for a third wall sign.
And that one is
Excuse me if I
painted,
may,
correct?
that
That
one-
one is painted on. Is that right?
It was not thinking that it was, but,
It's illuminated.
Oh,
And that's, I'm looking at that from State Farm Parkway, correct?
Lake Shore.
Oh, that's from Lake?
yeah, the one on the front is the State Farm
No,
Parkway.
rear is State Farm. I'm sorry.
Rear is State Farm Parkway.
Oh,
So they've turned this around to face Lake Shore.
Yeah. Hold on. Ms. Gear, did you have a comment?
Well, it was that same question. I just keep getting confused about which side is where people are gonna be walking in. Are they walking in on the Lake Shore side?
Lake Shore side is where the front door is located, but you can't enter on that side.
How do
So you only enter on the State Farm side, which is the rear of the building.
You mean you enter the parking lot?
The parking lot,
But you enter
yes.
the building on the Lake Shore side?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
can also enter on the side that faces Taco Bell, so the side with the pickup windows on and the side sign.
Okay. And then the only other question, I can't see how long that pickup, sign
Oh,
is.
it's-
Do you see?
94.25 inches.
So it's 8,
Almost 8 feet.
okay, that's not, okay. Okay, thank you.
well, and there's the additional pickup arrow also that I think is on the,
Yeah, and I'll keep going. So
Backside.
Brian, if you'll go back, so that McAllister's Deli on the rear, now if you were to go, just drop down right below that big McAllister's sign, then you'll see this pickup, and it's not too late to add a sweet tea sign. And those are both the same sign, just one's enlarged for clarification.
Also and that's also on the side of the pickup window?
no, that's
That
on the
one's on the
back.
back.
It's on the back of the building.
So on the
The
back.
other one's on the side,
Yeah.
but there's a pickup on the side and a pickup on the back.
Yeah. The one on the side is directly above the pickup window.
I feel like my drawings would be a little less confusing. I've got, this is the front, this is the side elevation, and all this is to scale, so you can see how large it is. And then this is the rear elevation.
All right. Okay, so I'll give my thoughts. The fact that there is a monument sign, we think on the State Farm side, I don't see a need for a sign on that side if you've already got a monument sign on there. I don't see a need for the large sign on the side because I agree with Ms. Smith, if you're coming in there, you're already in there and know where you are. And then lastly, because there are what I'll call ground signs that are directional about pickup, I don't know that there needs to be any pickup on the building itself. And I certainly don't think there needs to be one that's talking about sweet tea and all of that stuff, which seems like an advertisement as much as anything. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but we've had other businesses in the same area that we have been limiting of signs about, and whether it be Taco Bell or Chipotle. And so that would be my thought, is that I personally don't see that I'm happy to have the one on the front that's allowed, and happy to have the monument sign that's allowed, but the rest of them seem to be duplicative at best.
It
If
would
we
be,
don't allow the side or the rear sign, then there's gonna be no signage at either of the entrances to the parking lot.
so,
Except for the monument.
except for the monument sign.
I don't know that the monument sign's on State Farm. I would have to
Well,
look
we
into
need to know that.
Yeah, would you like to?
Well, that wasn't part of the variance, so I didn't look into it.
I understand, but other signs, for us to consider a variance, it's important for us to consider what other signs are part of that business on that property. And that's why, I understand
Yeah.
exactly, I'm not fussing at you, but I just want you to
Just trying to
understand
see if I
why
have a
we're
drawing with
asking
it.
these questions. I am happy to carry this item over so that we can get an answer to that question, because it may affect people's opinion, particularly regarding a sign on the back.
Yeah.
I would imagine. So,
Yes.
if you're okay with that, then I think that probably would be best, unless you tell me there's some sort of time consideration here that you'd like
Well,
us to decide this now.
I just don't know that my customer will want to pay me to come back 2 more times. But if I could get if that's not located there, or if it is,
You
or
definitely,
if I can email.
you definitely don't, you don't have to come back for the committee meeting. It's,
Okay.
it's already in council, so
Right.
you wouldn't have to come back
It won't
for
even be
that.
heard at committee.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So this would just be coming back in 2 weeks to let us know, to this body and let us know.
Is it another Monday?
It is
Yeah.
another Monday.
And can I
It's 2
ask-
weeks
I
from
have a
tonight.
trustful meeting that night.
Okay, can I ask one final
Sure,
question?
absolutely.
I assume that the monument sign is also illuminated?
I believe so. Normally they are, yeah.
Yeah, internally illuminated, yeah, okay.
And I guess you're asking for a variance on that pickup, but if you had it for 4 square feet, you wouldn't have to ask us for a variance. In my
Would the
pers-
illumination be allowed if we went down to 4 square feet?
I
Yes.
think so, yeah.
Okay.
And so I think that's
Just might just
something
make-
that
Okay.
you're asking for a lot from us, and that's one I think is pretty easy to say, we'll make it 1 foot by 4 feet. And to me, that's plenty big for what they need.
Okay.
And you don't have to ask us.
Yeah.
And that might help you.
Now, one,
Yeah, Mr. Jones.
but the sign on the front of the building is the most important one to me for you to have, so that you can see that from Lake Shore. Am I still facing the correct way?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
so, I mean, that's the most important one, and then the monument's gonna direct people in.
Well, depending on where the monument is located. If the monument is also located on the Lake Shore side, what she's saying is then there would not be anything on the State Farm Parkway side
Because
that
we
would
got hired to do
indicate.
that one first. I've got a folder with all the details on it, so
Okay.
Yeah, I would tell you that I think that this ought to be carried over while we figure out where the monument sign is.
I agree.
And could I just add
Yeah.
one?
Mhm.
Could we find out, or maybe we remember, did we allow Taco Bell to have a Taco Bell sign on both Lake Shore and the State Farm entrance side, or do we know?
I believe we did, and then, but we disallowed them from having
Sides on
the
side.
panels on the side with the sauce packets and then there was there was another sign, I think, on a side that we told them they could not have. But I do believe they have a sign both on the front and on the Lake Shore and I know they have one on the Lake Shore side because I drove by there today. And I believe they also have one on the State Farm Parkway side as well.
Okay. All right, well, then I'm going to carry this over without objection, and if you can get that answer for us for 2 weeks, and if you can't be there, we're happy to carry it over again, or
Okay.
Just send us information.
yeah, or you can just send us the information.
Okay.
You can just give it to Mr. Pugh, and he can relay it to us.
Okay. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
All right, next item. 040123, public hearing set for tonight for consideration to rezone 2900 16th Place South from R5 Attached Dwelling Unit District to NPD Neighborhood Preservation District. The applicant is Johnny Gossett, the owner Bonnie B. O'Bannon, to permit the construction of a new single-family house. This comes to us from the Planning Commission with a vote of 7-0 favorable recommendation of the rezone. We'll start with a report from P&D. Ms. Andrus.
Yes, after hearing from Jason Hale, the committee voted 4-0 to refer this item back to the full council without recommendation pending the public hearing. The motion was made by Counselor Sims and seconded by Counselor Wolverton.
All right, thank you very much. With that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. I see Mr. Hale already at the podium.
Doesn't look like Johnny Gossett. He's done.
Not much, maybe a little bit.
And I'm assuming you've already signed in, but if not,
Yep.
please sign in. And then just tell us what we got here.
Yeah, and I'm Jason Hale. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. I live at 1400 Sutherland Place. We are trying to downzone this. This is property, I think everybody's familiar with where it is. It was a house that was previously condemned. We are under contract to purchase it, actually subject to this, and we found out it was R5 when we went to get it surveyed, and R5, right now it's a single family residence. I think it was just kind of an anomaly in the zoning. We would like to just build a single family residence. The R5 zoning is more restrictive on the setbacks, and What you can't tell from that is that the property really pinches in as you go to the back and gets pretty skinny, and the city has treated part of that as a rear setback. So it basically makes it very hard to build a house on, in summary. And to me, everything around it is MPD on this side. There's an apartment complex on the other side. So it made sense to try to get it to MPD.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? I'll close the public hearing and ask if there are any comments or questions from council.
I don't have a question, but I'll make the comment that I think this is a good move for the property. We have cut the grass on this property every year that I've been on council, at least twice. That's a pretty impressive fact that the Google Street View is actually up to date enough to show it cut once. So, but we have maintained this property. We condemned it, tore down the garage a couple of years ago. So I think it's a good move for us to rezone and allow a house to be built that will be an asset to the neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Mr. Sims? Were you, I didn't know if you were.
Move to approve.
Well,
Okay.
and I just have a question. I was thinking there's not two lots. There's no question about two lots. Okay. And it backs up to, does it back up to kind of a little creek, or do you?
It does. The storm drain, I don't know if it's a named creek,
Yeah.
is down here at the bottom. Down in this area down here.
Some of that blue garbage can.
And I believe a little bit of that's a flood zone. I mean, we won't,
Yeah.
the setbacks prevent you from getting down there anyway, but we plan to leave that as just rear yard.
So you'll stay up toward where the current house is
Mhm.
located?
Yeah, what we had thought was driveway like right here and house basically sitting where that one is. You couldn't build that one back with the zoning that's there now. So it's too close to the street.
Well, the across the street neighbors are gonna be very happy.
They seem to be. They're not here tonight, but they supported it previously, so.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Kendrick, will you give us the first reading?
Yes, sir. An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance and zoning map of the city of Homewood. Whereas the plan commission would recommend the city council as properly described in the rezone from the current zone R5 attached dwelling to the MPD neighborhood preservation district. Whereas the council set a public hearing for February 13, 2023. And therefore do it ordained by the city of following described property described in exhibit A at 2900 16th Place South B, taken from its current zone R5 and rezoned to the neighborhood preservation district. Section 2, that after the adoption of this ordinance, the uses permitted by the neighborhood preservation district will be applicable to this property. Section 3, that February 13th at 6 o'clock p.m. at the time and place of a public hearing, which time all persons that have an interest in this property shall be heard. Section 4, that property given notice of the public hearing is required by law. Section 5, any part of provision or declared to be unconstitutional, invalid by court, conflict of jurisdiction, or other parts or provision of manner and full force and effect. Section 6, this order will become effective upon its passage by the city council, approval by the mayor is authorized.
All right. Thank you very much. I would now entertain a motion and a second for unanimous consent.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Smith, second by Mr. Alamon. And Amy, a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Gwaltney,
Yes, ma'am.
Gear,
Yes.
Allamon. Wolverton. Sims. Jones. Smith.
Yes.
Nelms.
Yes.
Andrus.
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yes. All right, so that we do have unanimous consent. Now I'd entertain a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gwaltney, second by Ms. Gear, and another roll call vote, please, Amy.
Counselor Gwaltney,
Yes, ma'am.
Gear,
Yes.
Allamon. Wolverton. Sims. Jones. Smith.
Yes.
Nelms.
Yes.
Andrus.
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
And President Wyatt.
Yes, so that is approved 11-0 and will be ordinance 2861. Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to the committee referral agenda. I would entertain a motion and a second for approval of that agenda.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was the first? Motion by Mr. Alamon, second by Ms. Gear. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is approved 11-0, which brings us to other new business. First item 090223, request to set a public hearing for consideration of a sign variance at 201 Green Springs Highway, brought to us by Mo Alatum and Wyatt Pugh. That public hearing will be set for our next meeting on February 27th, 2023 at 6 p.m. All right, last item, 10/02/23, request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of January 30, 2023 through February 13, 2023, brought to us by Robert Brigette and Melody Salter. Mr. Jones, is this Mr. Alamon?
Yes, I was able to review the vouchers. We are approving all but 3, and I've talked to Chairman Jones about it, and we're
Okay.
set to go.
All right. So we have a motion for Mr. Alamon, second for Mr. Jones. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11-0 and will be resolution 2319. All right, before we get to comments, we do need to go into executive session tonight. We have a motion to go into executive session by Mr.
Second.
Jones, a second by Ms. Andrus. And Mr. Kendrick, you want to?
Yes, the executive session be limited to potential or pending litigation.
All right, and I would think that we'd be back there for about 10, 15 minutes, something like that. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we will be back in about 10 or 15 minutes. So,
I saw that. We scared them away.
all right, so if someone wants to make a motion to.
I move
take
to
us-
return from executive session.
All right. All right, so we have a motion for Ms. Andrus, a second for Mr. Sims. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And for the moment, that is 9-0, and we are back in regular session. And I think all we have left is announcements. Mr. Mayor? All right. Absolutely. Mr. Gwaltney had to step outside for just a second, so we'll start with Ms. Gear.
No announcements, but just kind of an interesting fact here at Black History Month. I did not know that civil rights icon Fred Shuttlesworth is a graduate and valedictorian of Rosedale High School. And everybody else here may already know that, but I was just... He lived all over the state, was, I think, born, or for a while lived outside of the state. Long time lived in Ohio, but Birmingham Southern is having a documentary about Fred Shuttlesworth on February 22nd, 4 to 6 p.m. I think T. Marie King helped put that documentary together, but I plan to go, and I think it would be a great thing for us to learn about. So
I will be there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Gwaltney?
Yes, I will set public safety after finance, I assume, at 5 o'clock, right?
Yep.
The only comment that I have tonight is it's great to see a lot of your faces at the phase 2 of the Greenway groundbreaking on Friday. What a great thing happening in the city. I mean, the Lakeshore Trail is so phenomenal as it is today. I mean, it's used by so many around the region, not just here in Homewood, but also the connectivity that these things will bring to the city and the region. Just instrumental in getting there. So, yay, Homewood. That's it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wolverton?
I'm just going to set Public Works after Public Safety. Just want to thank Parks and Rec for a great basketball season. Our kids all enjoyed it. Our girls team had a particularly rough finish because they had won every single game. And then we went into the playoffs, and about 30 minutes before the game, found out our star player was sick and went home early from school. And then we lost for the first time when it mattered the most. But it's all right. They had a great season. They enjoyed it. They played their tails off. And obviously, we're thankful for the facilities that we have and the cooperation around the city to make those programs run. And then really just quick reminder, if anybody is online right now, that I'm about to leave for our meeting with the potential development plans for the Econo Lodge. There was an incident a couple weeks ago that I think people all heard about, and so I'm interested to see and hear what people have to say, but I appreciate those people that are coming out to hear and be engaged and involved in that process. So I think that's it.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Sims?
Mr. President, I'm so sorry, just to interrupt. Are we meeting on the 20th, President's Day?
Yes.
We are.
President's Day is no longer a city holiday,
Okay,
remember?
just, that's all good.
We
Yep.
switched that with
No problem. Oh, yeah,
Juneteenth.
that's right, thank you, okay.
Yep. So, yeah, February will operate normally. Will be every Monday. Mr. Sims?
Thanks. I just wanted to update that the beautification board met today. A couple of things I wanted to let you all know about. One is that they're planning a creek cleanup in March along Griffin Creek again. Also, they'll do a street cleanup on Earth Day on April 22nd. And also, the next quarter beautification board award ceremony will be March 22nd at noon. So it'd be great to have some council participation in that, in particular in Ward 2, because the business is in Ward 2. So just a little teaser there. So I'll follow up with y'all with additional details, but that's March 22nd at noon. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir, finance at 5, and just want to tell you that there are so few times that you will be the deciding vote, and tonight was one of
Very
those.
few.
I didn't think it would be from a message board. But anyway, those are, if that's all that we disagree about as a council, I think we're pretty united. So I hope everyone has a nice Valentine's Day tomorrow. So,
Thank you
that's
very
all I have.
much. Ms. Smith?
I'm going to set special issues to follow Public Works, and just an announcement that the Homewood Historic Preservation Commission meeting is going to be due to Valentine's Day being tomorrow, and some members thinking they probably needed to take their wives out to dinner for that occasion. We are moving our meeting to Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the same fourth floor conference room, and I'm going to put that out on my social media, and I'm going to ask Brian to put that on the city website. So there you go. I don't know. Somebody's, and there might be some of that. That's right.
No, she's not. She's actually here. Believe it. Ms. Nelms?
So, this weekend. What?
Yes.
Oh.
No, they're teasing me about Megan going to the beach for her birthday.
I was like, whoopsies. So this weekend, y'all, the most incredible thing happened. I didn't get a chance to go, but Melanie and Nick and I were supposed to go, but we all just kind of flopped out at the last minute, and we missed something really exciting. The Star Spangled Girls were on stage with the Fleetwood Mac cover band on Friday night. There they are. And the girls came back feeling like rock stars, and mine in particular said that she wants to go on tour now with the Fleetwood Mac cover band. So it was incredible, and there's some video around on Instagram.
I saw it. It's
And
incredible.
if it's hilarious because you have this entire concert hall full of folks there to see this Fleetwood Mac cover band, and all of these folks, and then when our band comes out, they start hooting and hollering like the real stars have come out, and you can see the look on some faces like, who's this? And it was just great. The next thing I wanted to brag about is Jennifer Andrus, and I'm gonna try not to go on and on because I got kind of teary just thinking about it. But this girl right here, this was her last year at the Bell Run, blowing a kiss to her hubby. And I just wanted to recognize Jennifer for doing so much for other folks when she's not here and when she's not at Birmingham Southern. She's just kind of always looking out for the little guy. And this run benefits, folks that are, don't have as much to going for them health-wise. And Jennifer, of course, as we know, has been through quite a battle and came back to running and doing this kind of thing. And I barely can run down the block, and she's just forever doing something. And every time I see her on Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, look at my girl. So, yeah, I'm done.
Well, I appreciate you telling me that she was blowing a kiss, because without my glasses, it looked like she was holding her hand up to her ear to try to get more of a crowd to yell for her. So.
That was so sweet. Thank you. Well, I did want to thank Counselor Sims because if you're done, and I was going to pick up on, I had that on my list of things to talk about was the Mercedes yesterday. So first of all, I'm not setting P&D, but on my list of things to talk about, I did want to talk about the Mercedes Marathon, which is the last one. I'm going to cry. I really am going to cry. I cried yesterday. Stacey Morales, I was standing in the Bell Runner tent, and I just grabbed Stacey Morales, and I'm like, Stacey Morales broke me. I've made it this far, and then I just kind of teared up. It was really powerful. You just can't. The crowd was unreal. The amount of Bell Runners that were out there for those little kids, and the kids the day before I didn't go, but in the rain, the Bell Runner, the little Bell Center kids, the Bell Center raised $245,000 with Bell Runners. I know, it's just incredible. So thank you, Counselor Sims, because he got us over the finish line. My team, you're supposed to raise $100 a mile, and we had a full marathon relay team, so we had 26-20. And two of the young ladies on my team are from my Office of Admission, and so they didn't do any fundraising because they're like 22. So anyway, that was really needed and appreciated, and I really do appreciate that. So anyway, it was just a great event, and Valerie McLean Cuddy and the work that she has done in the Track Shack and what they have done for this community, it's just a legacy. I mean, it's a true legacy. It really is that, and then Jeannie Colquitt, and one of my best friends is Jane Lamb at the Bell Center and the work that they've done. So I appreciate that. My kids went there. Anyway, thanks. I appreciate that. That was really, really, really sweet. I really appreciate that. And then I wanted to share some litter getter stats. Let me pull that up for you. Some litter getter stats. So we heard by the end of January, since December 2019 to the end of January 2023, the amount of trash that had been collected in the litter getters countywide, over 20,000 pounds of trash, 10 tons of trash from our waterways. Most of it are styrofoam and plastic bottles, and they recycled the trash as much as possible, and they were able to recycle 3,541 pounds of what they pulled out of our waterway. So that's pretty amazing. So I want to, again, thank Berkeley, because Berkeley's the one that saw the need to have two, not one, but two. Homewood's got no one but two. And then also, just lastly, phase 2 of the Greenway, what a great day. That was a really fabulous day. So I was just really, really glad to be there. And I want to thank the mayor for being there, and the Freshwater Land Trust and the work that they do, and of course, Homewood's own, my hero, Jane Reed Ross. And that's all that I have.
All right, Mr. Hart.
I always hate going after Miss Andrus. It's never fun. We were out of the country, so I did not get to come to the Greenway 2 grand opening of sorts, of what we ever call that. But it did, we went from the ritzy section of where we were to the poor section to see how it would be, how my wife would, we're gonna go see how the other people live. And you just have to so appreciate what we have, and it's very difficult on a day in, day out basis for us to appreciate what we have, but we need to all try to, number one, just fresh water. I mean, the whole time we're going, okay, you can't drink that water, you gotta drink out of bottled water, and you're constantly struggling with, is that water good? I mean, and so, but just, we've been given so much in this country, and I gotta thank those guys from the founding fathers for what they created here. But I'm sorry I missed it. We were in a very nice place, but we did get a chance to see how the other side lives, and it's tough.
All right.
Done.
Thank you very much. I just got one thing that I think I saw in an email. The Taste of Homewood is coming up March 16th, that Thursday night. So make your plans. That's always I'm going to be out of town this year, which I'm upset about because that is one of my favorite events. With that, we will go ahead and adjourn tonight, and we'll see everyone in a couple weeks.